Jesus speaks of truth and freedom as spiritual realities known through his word. He reveals the truth that sets people free from sin. The reading begins at verse 31. Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, "If you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." They answered him, "We are descendants of Abraham, and have never been slaves to anyone. What do you mean by saying you will be made free?" Jesus answered them, "Very truly I tell you, everyone who commits sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not have a permanent place in the household. The son has a place there forever. So if the Son makes you free, you will be free indeed."
All right, let's talk about this word for a second. In today's gospel, Jesus says, "The truth will make you free." The truth will make you free? What does that mean? Okay, I'm not sure exactly what these words do to you, how these words make you feel emotionally. But for me, the minute I hear the word truth, I feel like rolling my eyes and completely checking out. I have to say, I am really jaded and have been for quite a long time. I have a visceral reaction to this word because it seems that everybody, and I mean everybody, has the truth. Every organization, every institution, every politician, every individual who has a strong opinion about anything has the truth. And more often than not, these individuals, these organizations, feel the need to make sure that everyone else, including me, knows the truth, even if it's based on nothing more than one's opinion. But that's not the entire reason I struggle with this word. The truth is even more complicated than that. So I heard a story from a dad of a high school student in distance learning right now that got me thinking about this. He told me that he is the tutor in his family. He is school dad. And the other day, one of his kids asked him for help reviewing for a test. Now, there was a review packet online. So he randomly began reading off the questions. And his daughter is just nailing them one after another after another. She's getting them right. She knows her stuff. She knows her formulas. She can repeat word for word complicated answers to complicated questions. She has it all memorized. Well, about halfway through, super student answers a question having to do with cholesterol, I think, or something like that. And of course she gets it right. But then school dad does something his daughter does not expect. He asks her, "So what does that mean? Tell me how this fact has anything to do with your wellness. What does this have to do with the choices that you make about your diet?" And this is the good part. She turns to her dad and says, "I don't know. Who cares? I just need to know the answer to that question." So another quick story to share. I have officially been a student again for just over a year. My classes are completely all online and 8 weeks in length. And each time I begin a new class, I do what many people do. I Googled the professor just out of curiosity and as a way to gauge what to expect. So I did that last week. I Googled the name of my instructor for my next class. And because he teaches both graduate and undergraduate classes, there was a lot of material. And I started to read some of the undergraduate student reviews. And again, this is the good part. Students said things like how many times you need to attend the class to get credit, and which assignments were weighted more, and which note packets were essential for the exams, and how much more or less work was expected compared to other professors, and it went on and on and on. And it's not that I was surprised by this, but not one student mentioned what you actually learned in the class, or what that information meant for life. So here's my takeaway. We live in a culture in which entire systems relate to the truth as a series of facts to know without reference to actual experiences. Now, think about your religious upbringing, if you had one. Was it any different? We are celebrating confirmation today with families, and that is just a good thing. For me, confirmation was not bad, but it was memorization. It was repeating and reciting the Creed and the Ten Commandments. It was filling in the blank on Luther's explanation of the first article of the Apostles' Creed. Sunday school was not that much different. It was curriculum worksheets that we drew on and wrote on. Again, none of this was bad, but it focused on the facts of our faith. So in our world right now, truth, whether that is related to someone's strong opinion or just some random assortment of facts, is often not rooted in experience, in how we live in the world, in how we live together, what it means to be human. But that is not the truth that many of us are seeking in life. That's not the truth that we're looking for in our faith. So I asked several of Bethlehem students who are being confirmed today to just reflect momentarily on this question. What does it mean to be human? It's a very interesting, thought-provoking question, and this is what they said.
What does it mean to be human? I don't know. It means you get to live your own life. Like, God created us all different. Like, we all live completely different lives, and we're all completely different from each other, which I think is really cool.
Probably just what Emma said, to be honest. Like, you can live your life like the way you want, and you can live it to the fullest.
Probably just like a sense of belonging. You know, like you're not just out there doing stuff, just like doing your own thing, sure, but also be able to be in a group and complete something that's good for everyone.
The ability to love anything and anybody, a sense of freedom, basically to choose your own life and do whatever you would want to do.
Did you hear what they said? Or maybe did you hear what they didn't say? No one said to know a bunch of stuff, or to be right, or to have my opinions accepted by everyone. What our students said was having to do with relationships and depth in life. And what is really interesting and life-giving is that is exactly where Jesus goes. And so Jesus says, if you continue in my word, you are my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And when Jesus says you will know the truth, the word he is using for know refers to first-hand experience. If you are my disciples, Jesus says, if you live in my word, if you walk in my way, then you will have first-hand experience of the truth, and that truth will set you free. So when Jesus teaches about forgiveness, he teaches that there is life beyond ourselves. He teaches us of the joy that comes from generosity and to move beyond ourselves for the sake of others. That is what love is. He teaches us to be less condemning, less judgmental. He teaches us to have hope and spend less time worrying. Who doesn't need more of that? Less worrying is a good thing. He teaches us that weakness and openness to vulnerability are the new strong. And he teaches us how to live in the world in the midst of great suffering and adversity. That's the truth that Jesus proclaims. If you have been able to forgive or have been forgiven by someone else, you know that it's the better way because you've experienced it. It's not just an idea. If you've received the generosity of others or are working to be more generous yourself, you know that it's the better way because you've experienced it. Jesus is teaching people how to live in the world in a very particular way. The truth of this way of life will set you free from serving yourself. It will free you from thinking that faith is something that is only lived in your mind. Truth is so often mistaken for facts in religion, but for Jesus, truth is one of experience, something that is placed in the context of your whole life and whole being. Now, in confirmation, we often talk about how God is not an argument. God is not simply a set of belief statements. We as human beings want something bigger. We want something to live into. We want to experience love. We want to experience forgiveness, not just talk about them. We want to do something about injustice and celebrate beauty. Speaking metaphorically, it's one thing to talk about or even argue about the menu at a restaurant. It's another thing to enjoy the meal. We want to taste the meal. Today is Reformation Sunday, and we celebrate that fact that we are constantly reforming, constantly changing, so that the goodness of God's grace and mercy can be experienced more fully by others in different times and different places. People want to practice faith, a way of being in the world, and we as the church must always be aware of how we are or are not doing that. People are looking for a path, and if we go to a faith community and all we get is a giant intellectual exercise that has nothing to do with actually how we live, then we've missed Jesus' message. God is not an argument. Joy, compassion, generosity, forgiveness, these things are not a debate. Jesus says, live like I am teaching you to live and find freedom, a fullness of life that God intends for all creation. May you know the truth from first-hand experiences because you have seen it, because you have felt it, because you have lived it. This is the good news that we hear today. Thanks be to God for that. Amen.